on Bitcoin. What am I thinking? What are the indicators telling me? We'll do Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, and SEI. I do see some room to grow on the horizon for a couple of these coins. Obviously, we are down a lot, so I wanted to give you a window to my thought process, where I'm setting alerts, where I'd like to see more bullish structure, breakouts, and then where we could be taking profit over the next couple of days to weeks. So, if you are looking for the latest and greatest news on all the latest altcoins, follow Altcoin Buzz IO on X. If you're looking to get into charting and learn more of the technical analysis language, my handle is the iChart Daily. Everything else on YouTube and Instagram is just iChart Daily. So, Bitcoin. I always usually chart Bitcoin first because of its dominance over the market, it being at 60%. Unfortunately, whatever it does have a gravitational pull on the majority of the altcoins. So let's go over the market structure over the last, let's just say, month or two. So since September 26, we went from 108 to 126, and we've been making lower highs and lower lows each swing, high and low. Now, the formation that it is making is a falling wedge. A falling wedge usually breaks to the upside. If we were to break to the upside, I'm going to be choosing anywhere from 114 to 115 on the low end, up to about 118 to 119 on the high end. Why do I say that? I always use longer time frames to see where major liquidity levels are. So I basically just say, okay, if we've seen major resistance at 119, I'm going to assume that we're going to see major resistance there again. The same way I said, if we break 107 to 107.5, we're probably going to fall to the next liquidation zone, and we fell right to 98 to 100,000. Now, the question is, do we go back and form a lower high to the 119 to the 125? If we do that and we break up out of the falling wedge and we do something like this and we go here, right? That fuels the longer time frame, meaning the monthly and the 2 month, like I said in the last video. Once again, longer time frames take a long time to play out, bro. Falling wedges, double bottoms, head and shoulders, they all play out on different time frames. It's just on the 5 minute, it happens 2-3 times in a day. On the weekly time frame and on the 3-day time frame, this is going to take a couple of days to weeks to play out. Once again, it took a whole month for the falling wedge to play out. So now let's get into the nitty gritty. I have an alert. Right, let's zoom into the 2-day. I set an alert right above this wick right here at the 107.874. I'm also setting an alert at the bottom of the wick at the 104.859. The reason being is we haven't broken out of this resistance yet. So what am I looking for? I'd like to see a little bit of a pullback, a higher low, showing me that this is forming higher low W pattern and more bullish divergence on the indicators. What do I mean? Certain things don't happen in the price action, bullish or bearish, unless you see a visual of the bearish things happening in the indicators. Meaning, you're not going to get a breakup until your RSI breaks above the 50. It's just that simple, right? You can have golden crosses on your MACD, but because we're below the zero line, meaning this right here where the histogram goes positive or negative, when you turn on your moving averages, you're going to go up and use them as resistance. Now, what we want to see is the golden cross on the MACD, and we want to see the RSI come down, use it as support. Example A right here, showing us that we could break the moving averages somewhere over here at 105 to 107, and then we'll have a continuation to the upside. That's what I do. I like to line up indicators to give me visuals to eliminate the emotions out of my trading. So once I understand what needs to happen in order for the move from 107 to 115 to 120 to happen, in order for this to make a cool 9 to 12%, I'm going to set an alert. Set an alert at the 49.67 on the daily time frame. Right? You want to make sure your stochastic is above the 80, showing you that momentum is fully on your side. Not my opinion. You can see when it's above the 80, above the moving average, broke above in a golden cross structure. We went from 111 to 116. So I do think we could go from 107 to 116, but once again, we want to see this could come down. The RSI could come down, use the moving average as support. We could come down, form a higher low to these over here at the 98 to the 99, stop at the 101.4 again, and then you'd want to see a breakout to the 115 level. So with that being said, if that happens and we form, turn all this off, give you a visual, if we go up 12 to whatever it is, 15%, and we form a lower high to this macro high of 122 to 125, that fuels the bearish divergence on the monthly time frame. Okay, just letting you know. So once again, we could go up, but I'm just walking on eggshells because I don't like what I'm seeing on the longer time frames. Another thing that I want to let you know, though, I've been telling the Discord, my Discord for the longest time, on the weekly time frame, this is our saving grace. Once again, we've used this level on the weekly time frame 3 times already, and each time has shown us that we're going up. Yes, we're making lower highs and lower lows each time, but you can see here we're stopping here. We need to see how these next couple weeks play out, and if we see rejection once again from this imaginary resistance line that's been resistance all the way from March 11th, 2024. So once again, can we have one more pump from October to January, and then from January to March, we poo-poo the bed. This is a descending triangle. Measured moves into section B. Once your RSI breaks below the 50 and stays below like this, you're officially in a bear market, and you're just going to continue bleeding and bleeding. Not my opinion. You could clearly see right here, we fell from 40,000 to 15. Give you another example here. Once we broke below and stayed below and used it as resistance, it was 12,000, 9,000, 8,000, 6,000, 3,000. You do it yourself. Section B is below the 50. Section A is above the 50. Section A and the MACD is above the histogram. Section B is below the histogram. See what happens when you have golden crosses below? You're going up. You're not making a higher high. Golden cross on your MACD above the histogram, you're going up and you're making swing highs. I am trying to teach you in these videos swing trading. That's all I'm saying. So right now, we're trying to catch the next swing up over the next couple of weeks, right? Like this one here. This was at least 4, 5, 6 weeks back up to the 117 to the 122 level. So because there's room to grow on Bitcoin, right? Once again, short term down. We still need to break this resistance, but I do like that we're forming somewhat of a falling wedge that could break to the upside. So once again, over the next couple of days, we could fall back down to the 100, 998, even the 101, as long as we form anything higher to these wicks here that fuels this W pattern to play out. Now, Ethereum. Some patterns are a little bit more easier than others. Once again, falling wedge. I do think just a cool 6% back to the 3830 is definitely on the table. I say it in every video. I look for key levels that were resistance, that were turned back into support, back into support. This will very high probability go back to this level here, and that's where you could form yet another lower high. You can see here lower highs all the way from August 21st, 2025. Once again, this pattern probably will break up to the upside. Eventually, we need to see something like this, and something like this. I go to my weekly chart. I see where there was key resistance in the past, right? Something like this. I like doing this stuff live, right? So it's like boom, right? You go back to your 2-day, you do your resistance lines, you do your support lines. Right? I told you when you have a breakout, you come back into a trend, what was resistance in the past will be used as current resistance. So I'm going to be using this level here, right? I say all the time, some traders are going to tell you 6 levels. I like to use 3 levels, and there are your 3 levels. I'd probably say right here. So 38.33, 39.35, 4,033 lining up with that major liquidity level and resistance level, but you're making a cool 7, 10 to 12%. Now, once again, if Bitcoin goes down over the next couple of days, very healthy. We just want to see something, the next lows, excuse me, on Ethereum. It could come down and trickle down. I'd like to see it come to right here, this 3370 level. So it could trickle down, stay above the support line, right? Once again, this forms a nice little higher low W pattern ending over here. BNB. BNB looks like it's breaking to the upside. This one, let me turn off my indicators, make it more clear for you. Here you go. You could clearly see support, resistance, resistance, support. We're coming down, we're coming down. If we were to break to the upside right now, I could see a 6.6% return to a 15%. But once again, if Bitcoin's coming down over the next couple of days, I could see BNB also coming down and then seeing support at the 978 to potentially even like the 942. Once again, I'm using these levels and these levels, forming a higher low to anything higher to the 904 to the 933. Once again, W patterns for the win. I could see something like that, and then like that, and your greed level is anywhere from 1,000 to 1143, which is wild. I've been in this game for so long that I used to be buying BNB at like $5 just to avoid the fee on the Binance exchange way back in the day. And to see these coins at $1,000 is mind-boggling, right? But that's it, right? So SEI, this one's clear as day. Once again, if I could teach you one thing, go to longer time frames, look at liquidity levels that they were used in the past, and if you see meat on the bone and support below those levels, you know you could easily make a good 20 to 25%, 30% to go back to these levels. Once again, they were support, and they will go back to being resistance. And once again, when I'm looking for 2-3 levels, I look to see where it was resistance in the past. And you can see it's coming up to, let's just say, 23 cents. I would use the 24.9, and then I would use the 26.7. And at that point, I do think we have to, I'm going to end the video with Bitcoin's dominance. I've been saying it for the longest time, that, you know, we're going to see this run up, you're going to see this run up, you're going to see the pullback, you're going to see the pullback, you're going to see the run up, you're going to see the run up, and then you're going to see the collapse, and you're going to see the collapse. When you see Bitcoin's dominance go down while Bitcoin goes up, you enter alt season, and we haven't really seen alt season yet. And the reason why I say that is if I go back to SEI, and this were to break out of this resistance line all the way from March 2024, right? If this were to break out of this, this is forming once again a huge W pattern. These would be your first levels. If it were to break, let's just say the 27 cents, then once again you're going here, the 36 cents, and then you probably fill this level here. And SCI would be looking at like 30 to 55%, then 110%, and then 328%. But that hasn't happened yet. In order for that to happen, once again, I'd probably set an alert here at the 27 cents, notifying me that we are breaking out. And then once you have a breakout, you'd like to see a breakout to the 36 cents, then a retest of this 26 cents, and then showing you that you're having a continuation to the upside, like something like that, like a pullback, higher, low, up. You could probably just even do that, right? So from here to here is like from here to here, which is 270%. Yeah. I like it. Once again, I like to buy coins and open up longs when there's meat on the bone. I made a video on my channel the other day of Gala, just throw it out there. I mean, when coins are beaten up 98% and there's room to grow just back to major liquidity levels, you know, that's what you're looking for it to go back to just these levels here, excuse me, of 0.032 to 0.044. Once again, 200-300% out of these alts. That's what I'm looking for. But that's the video. Love you guys. Appreciate the support. Once again, short-term pullback back to the 103 to the 101. Set your alert notifying you that that is on the table. Form that higher low W pattern breakout past the 107 and then, you know, back to 114 to 117. And I could see some wicks all the way to the 119 to the 120. But please, at that level, if you start seeing resistance and then longer term breakdowns of like the monthly, the RSI and the stochastic RSI, you know, don't be the whales, exit liquidity. That's all I'm saying. Love you guys. Appreciate the support. Any comments, questions, concerns, leave it in the comment section. I will get to absolutely everybody. Besides that, enjoy the day. Happy charting.